So welcome to the Fortcast. This is Pastor Matt, and today, excited to have Bobby Dempsey with us. Welcome, Bobby.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I'm glad you're here, man.
Hopefully I'm going to enjoy this.
We're just going to talk. It's going to be all right.
Awesome.
So I called you, or I texted you this morning about getting together for lunch, and you said you had some free time. So I said, come on over, and we'll record a podcast. And you just said podcast, question. So you're not a podcast guy?
Nope.
You don't listen to any podcasts?
I sure don't.
No? Don't watch any on YouTube, anything like that?
I don't even have a Twitter account. My
Twitter.
friends were getting on to me yesterday about that.
But you love the Facebook.
I do.
You're
I
all
keep
over
up
the
with
Facebook.
a good bit of my friends that way. But other than that, I'm pretty, what's the terminology there? Internet.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to get better with it.
Yeah.
So what's going on today? What you up to?
Just taking some children to school and,
So
in between my bus routes.
yeah, so not everybody probably knows you. So let's talk a little bit about you. So why don't you just kind of tell everybody who you are, what you do, about your family, a little bit, just an introduction.
I'm Bobby Dempsey. I'm 42. I grew up in Phoenix City. Been going to the Fort now since about the fifth Sunday that we started at the school.
I was wondering how far you went back. So.
Yeah, I was right there at the beginning. Actually, my parents are in the Sunday school class that took up at Golden Acres.
Okay.
That took up the large donation that put all the money together and pushed out the group of about what was like 12 families or so.
I think we like to say sent out.
Pushed out?
Pushed
Well,
out.
Yeah,
So
that sounds kind of bad, but
no, that's awesome, man. I
know,
didn't know that. Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, cool.
So I kind of knew about it from the early stages of the planning and everything, and
Yeah.
it kind of just went from there.
Yeah.
It was right after it was right after my house fire in 2012, and been here ever since.
Now, were you guys involved in church before that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Oh, I wasn't sure about that. So.
I've always been in church.
Okay.
In one form or fashion or other. I've kind of fallen away here and there, just a short amount of time, but that void is in me is something that's got to be pushed into or poured into, I should say.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When you're God's child, He's always drawing you back to Him. You're gonna feel that pull. He's not gonna let you go.
No.
And He's not gonna make it easy on you to run either.
That's right.
So your parents brought you up in the church then?
That's correct.
Was it in Golden Acres? Is that where you grew up?
No, I actually started off going to a church called Pine Grove. It's Pine Grove Baptist Church. It's right off Sanford Road in Phoenix City.
Across from that park there?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a little white church cross, but it's just
kinda
up
up
hill.
the street. Yeah,
that's
yeah. I
that's
know
correct.
what
It's on
church.
Wright Road there,
Yep.
which that's kind of my stomping grounds. I live maybe a mile and a half from there.
Right.
My parents live about a quarter of a mile from there.
Yeah.
They're right there by the park.
Yeah.
So-
Y'all still have any connections with that church? Any family or anything?
Actually, my grandmother does still go
Really?
there.
Awesome.
She's one of the dwindling down members.
Yeah,
It's one of the ones that they've tried to revive and restore themselves.
Yeah.
And they've had some luck with it.
Yeah.
I don't know very much about it to even comment any more than that on it.
It's hard for churches. Once you get down to a certain, it's usually the number is right around 50. Once you get around 50 people or less, it's hard to revitalize without some outside help. It's just really, really difficult to do. Just 'cause, and usually those folks are older.
That is correct.
And they don't have the physical energy to do what's needed to do to evangelize and reach their neighborhood. And not that they may have great hearts and they may want to, but it's just hard at that point. But anyway, but I've prayed for that church. I've driven by there and prayed for that church a couple of times. Anyway, so grew up in that church, and then from there, what's the journey?
From there, my parents started going to Somerville Baptist. When I was about 14, I actually pulled them over there, the youth group.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That was kind of the reason for us finally leaving there was, I wanted some more of my friends, and I was the only one.
Right.
Literally. And
so now, did the people at Somerville Road, did they know you? I mean, was there any move, or do they have any business meetings to vote to keep you away from their teenagers?
I was restricted on some youth trips and stuff. I had to sit in the front of the bus. I could not sit in the back anymore. I guess that's why I start driving buses now, I guess.
So I'm teasing you because I know several of your stories from you being a teenager, you and Bertie Shaw and some of the rest of your crew. Maybe we'll get into some of that. But so when do you feel like you came to the Lord? When do you feel like you were saved?
The first time I was baptized, I was 9, and I truly felt the Lord's impression on my heart and the draw to Him. But through my teenage years, I did step away from Him for a good amount of time there. But I literally, I've had conversations, well, I know John won't mind me saying this, but I had one specific conversation with him. And at that time, he was a true atheist. I mean, he didn't believe in it's just not possible. And I was steadfast, and I was telling him, I'm telling you, I know for sure that you're definitely wrong on this. I can't explain it to you properly at that time.
Yeah.
But I knew that even during those times of me just being my wild, rambunctious, just trying anything, doing anything, years, that the Lord still had His hand on me and was trying to nudge me back to Him and guide me.
Yeah.
So
even as you're climbing into water towers, stoned, swimming in the water tower.
yeah, so swimming in the. I
didn't know that was a possibility. I think the statute of limitations passed on this stuff.
I would hope so. That's probably a federal offense.
Who had that idea? I mean, who decided let's climb the water tower and see if we can swim in it? Was it just progression? Let's just climb up and. Then...
Yeah, I mean, we were always up there. We used to go up there to just do. It's amazing when you get those city lights out of your eyes and you're looking up at the sky.
Yeah.
From an elevated point of view like that, what you really can see.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as stars and everything, and plus just the view up there is second to none.
See, now that sounds beautiful. It doesn't sound like...
Except for you got a ladder that's
crazy teenagers
30 foot tall that you're climbing.
And so you're up there, you're gazing at the stars, and just poking around, and you figure out you can open it up and get
That's
in.
right. Climb down into it.
Yeah. So what year do you figure that was? What years?
93, 94.
93, 94. All right. So everybody who was
Roughly 95.
Living in Phoenix City.
Maybe even 96.
During that time, you were drinking some of Bobby Dempsey. They've been swimming in your water supply.
Yep.
That's funny. Oh, man.
We did.
Yeah. So, folks may not know that you do all kinds of stuff here around the church. I mean, think about, the identity of the Fort is just always people serving and working and, making a lot out of a little.
Putting your hands on it.
Yeah, getting your hands on it, getting dirty.
That's right.
And really, for me, it's always been, see what God can do with His people, when it looks like when everybody else says, well, there's not enough, or you can't, there's not enough resources, there's not enough money, and then watch how God's Spirit moves through His people, and they just accomplish, some really cool stuff, and seen that through you, servant heart, and of course you got a ton of skills to work on stuff, and there's not much in the buildings that we've been in since the very beginning, going back to the school, and then all the buildings that we've been in, being a part of revitalizing those buildings. You had your hands in on just about everything.
All of them.
Yeah. It's hard to keep you away when those work projects start, which it's awesome. Always love that you always want to make yourself a part of that. So,
Well, Danny, when he preached about it, when he was talking about that's what drew him in, he hit the nail on the head with that service. It was just, it was phenomenal the way he explained it, of how, everybody's just eager to
yeah.
see the finished product, and everybody's pitching in to get it to that point.
Yep. Yeah.
And it was just, that's what it's kind of like an adrenaline rush almost
Yeah.
to me at times.
Yeah.
I've been there at 3 o'clock in the morning when we're fixing to have service.
Yeah.
The next morning, next Sunday morning, 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night, and we're putting down the last chairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, didn't get no sleep, just turn around and come right back to church.
That's right.
And we weren't even tired.
Yeah.
It was just because we'd been working to that point that for so long. We had that launch date. And, there's been a couple other ones like that, none that were that pressed.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's kind of the joke around here is, got to do it on Easter. There's no normal Easter. You gotta be launching something crazy every couple of years here. The folks that just come along to the fort in the last few years, I've even had some, since we went through the last transition, who just came along like since we've been over at Eastern Heights, and they've said, when we took on Mount Zion, they're like, this is just too different. This is just too different. I'm like, well, you obviously don't have a lot of history with the fort because it's always different. It's always going to be different, and it's those sacrifices that we make to do what we believe God's called us to do in our mission. But yeah, it's hang around here for a few minutes. It's going to be different.
We'll give you something to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool, man. So you've done all kinds of carpentry, and I mean, right now you're doing some of that right now, right?
That's correct. I do all kind of stuff.
Just whatever comes up.
That's right.
What kind of stuff do you like doing the most?
Work with my hands. I like to change it up. Make it where it's where I have to think about it. If it's something I have to think myself through,
Right.
that tends to push me more.
Yeah, I get that.
Makes me more eager to do it and try to figure it out.
Yeah. I know you. I mean, you do all kinds of woodworking, carpentry, finished work. I mean, just about everything, right? Home renovation.
Yeah, everything from flooring to painting to cabinets to bathrooms.
Have you ever built cabinets?
I have.
Really?
I have. I actually worked in a cabinet shop for about a year.
Really?
For a buddy of mine.
Huh. I'm thinking about making some cabinets. We've been talking about making cabinets for the house. I feel like it's just boxes, right?
Yes and no. Yes,
I think
it is
the
just
hard part's
boxes.
when you got to get them in there. And
That's the easy
Get it
part.
all look right.
That's the easy part, because if you build them properly and the walls are square, they'll go right in.
The wall's square. That's the problem. I know that's not. I know that's not going to be.
Usually on old houses, you don't have square walls and stuff. It tends to move and everything else.
Yep. So, what about your family? Tell us about your family.
My immediate family, well, I grew up, I have 3 older sisters. And my parents have been married for 53 years, roughly. Maybe 54. They may get on to me for that. But I'm the baby of 3 older sisters, so I got 4 moms, basically, because there's 7.5 years between me and my youngest sister. Like I said, grew up, went to Central, went all the way through, playing baseball. I played baseball growing up. And then, let's see, that was '01. I had my first son, and I was married. We had just gotten married. This was my first wife. In '01, right before 9/11, he was born. And it's been a whirlwind ever since. I've always loved children and always enjoyed being around children and teaching them. I kind of got a knack for that and a pretty decent amount of patience when it comes to it. Sometimes they get stretched thin, especially on that school bus.
Yeah. I know when you're involved with the youth here, they love it. I mean, they all look up to you. They love you being there. So I've seen that in you for sure.
Not too long after that, 2.5 years, we had another boy. Cole's first one, Dylan was the second one. And then about a year later, we had Elizabeth. And then we went our separate ways starting about '08, and in 2010 it was final. Mm-hmm. And then I raised the 3 kids by myself. Golly, several years. It was on into 2013, really. I was still raising them by myself. It was a tough time right there.
Yeah, man.
I was working construction. I was a superintendent with a construction company, and then it was just, it was tough. I called it running the gauntlet because I would come in from work tired, had just picked the kids up from my mom's, and I still had to do homework, baths, cook dinner, and all the dad, I need this, and dad, I need that, and everything else.
Yeah, man.
So, but I look back on it, and that was some of the funnest times at times then as well.
Yeah.
It was just, they were wild, rambunctious. I had 3 under 10, and it was just wild. But it was a blessing. He was molding me right there because, for a while I thought, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? But I knew I didn't have a choice. To me, I didn't have a choice. There wasn't another choice.
Yeah.
It was, this how it's going. We're going to figure this out as we go.
Yeah.
But so roughly after that,
and they've turned out pretty good. They're pretty good kids.
They're doing pretty good. They're doing pretty good. Good grades. My oldest is actually fixing to move to Washington State, which has me a little nervous.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's very many people do.
Matter
of fact, most people are going to find out through this.
What's that all about? What's he doing? I thought he was going to CV.
He backed out of that.
Okay.
He's this type of degree that he's wanting. He found it up there at a college up there. It's pretty much dealing with computers and stuff. I don't know a whole bunch about it.
Well, so I kind of jumped in on Cole, and so you got the 3 under 10. You're raising them by yourself. What happens from there?
Well, I dated around for a while there. And then I run across a really sweet, caring woman that took me a year to even get her to meet me face to face. We talked on the phone for over a year.
Oh, wow.
We did. Me and Casey actually talked on the phone for over a year. She just would never meet with me. And I've known her for a long time, but
she's smart.
Yeah, she tried to stay. She tried to stay away from me.
You just wore down, man.
I guess. I finally told her. What did I say to her? That I was interested in her, and would like to take her out, but if she's not interested, I'm gonna move on. Yeah. And then she was like, "Hold on a minute now." So, we got married in what was that? We were married 5 years. So
okay.
So at 14, we got married in 14. And had a daughter between us.
She's something.
She is. She's a mess. So I literally started over at 30. What was I? 38 when I had her.
Yeah.
Started over at 38. So, but couldn't be any happier with her. And
so y'all got this big mixed family, right?
Yes. And Casey already had a daughter prior to me, which is Kayla. She's a senior.
That's what I was about to ask. I couldn't remember what grade she was in.
Yep, she's a senior at Smith Station this year. So
doing the dance team, all that stuff.
Yep, she's a pantherette out there. She quit competition dancing to do pantherettes for her senior year. So that's what she wanted to do, and she's enjoying it.
She got y'all off the road a little bit, though, right?
Yes, that competition
she was
dance
doing that all over the place, right? Yeah.
Atlanta to Orlando to Birmingham to. back and forth, back and forth.
Well, seemed like Casey enjoyed it too, so that's good. So
I think Casey enjoyed it just as much, if not more, than Kayla did.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So, Casey's awesome. She is. You talking about servant minded? She sure is, and and you can tell she loves kids too. And,
She does.
She's
she
awesome.
works with special needs out at Westman Station Elementary.
Yeah, that's a hard job. That's a hard job. So,
I hear about it every day.
Yeah.
But she also comes home just about crying about this certain student, tied their shoe right, or
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow.
Yeah. But man, I'm glad you sat down and talked for a little bit. We're gonna go grab some lunch, and we're gonna look at some projects we got for workday. Always appreciate. I can always call on you and get your wisdom, and we can brainstorm on how to fix something. That's half the fun, isn't it? Trying to talking about it, and the work's okay, but we like to talk about it a lot before we get to it over lunch and stuff like that. So.
For sure.
Awesome, man. Well, cool, Bobby. Well, we'll say goodbye to everybody, and we will see you next time.